Can you hear me? Oh, there you go. Okay. Um, Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I just want to let you know we are actually getting in information as we stand here, so we're going to try to get through this the best we can. Obviously, this is a little bit different. Certainly, we're usually used to having the media all here, trying to obviously take a lot of precautions regarding the situation. So, in respect to the media and to our staff, this is sort of a virtual press conference. But I want to start off by saying, as Governor Sisolak stated today, I was truly saddened to learn of the first death-related COVID-19 case. Just please know that we send our condolences to the family. It's very, very challenging. So I just want you to know that Reno is incredibly resilient. I was born and raised here. I love this city. I know like many of you do too as well. This is a very challenging time for all of us. The only way we're going to get through this is that we're going to get through this together. And so my job is to really protect you and keep you safe. And we feel that this is a very, very critical time. So please know we're all in this together. I know it doesn't feel like it, but there are so many people out there concerned about you. We have incredible healthcare workers ready and willing to be there at every step of the way. We have incredible first responders. I have to tell you, it is amazing to see this community come together. We're not the only community doing this. There are obviously communities across the country doing this, even across the world. So we know we're not alone, but it's important that you know you have a lot of people working 24/7 on this very issue. So we are a resilient community. We have to be rooting for one another, and we have to really think about our neighbors and those in need. One of the reasons I wanted to call this press conference is because I have had a lot of questions about the business community, certainly the restaurants and the bars. And one of the things I want you to know, we were going to let you know that we were requesting that you stop all business for 2 to 3 weeks. However, we just got information in that Washoe County Health Department is asking that we stop all essential business. And so we want everyone to get ready, not to panic, but prepare. We think that this is the appropriate measure considering the circumstances. And if this is what we have to do to protect this community from this virus, this is what we absolutely need to do. So I want to remind all businesses, that's bars, restaurants, gyms, all non-essential businesses. I want to stress, though, that when we say that, we will make sure that we have food available from our grocery stores to our pharmacies. Gas stations will remain open. Those are essential services that will remain open. So just know the next step will be that we will ask you to halt all business throughout the city. Especially being a small business owner myself, I know how incredibly difficult it is because we have so many employees that rely on us and they rely on that paycheck. So please at this time have a lot of compassion for one another because this is whenever we absolutely need it the most. I also want to know, I wanted people to know for my Reno Housing Authority residents, I've requested suspensions of non-payment from Reno Housing Authority. RHA will continue to be available to meet with their clients, but we want to make sure that we reach out to landlords and everyone throughout the city and making sure that they are suspending any evictions that were going to be coming in place. I also want you to know that I've been on the phone with trucking and transportation. The city has suspended enforcement of the limitations on delivery and routes for the transportation of goods and services for retail outlets. This will obviously allow us to have food and supplies to reach stores and facilities much more easily. We think that that's really critical. So please know that. And whenever I say that, that means, don't run out and buy, 900 toilet paper, just kind of everyone be cognizant of your neighbors and remember that We're all in this together, and so please don't panic. I don't want people, rushing that we're going to shut everything down in 2 weeks. It's not going to work like that. You have plenty of time to get to the grocery store and, be thoughtful of one another. Quite frankly, it's really shocking to see, but you're seeing that kind of movement all over the country where people are just storming into grocery stores, and let's all be mindful of each other. We think that that's really, really critical. I want you to also know we're working very closely with our regional partners. This has been a joint effort throughout the community. I have to tell you, I have been impressed by Washoe County and the city of Sparks. I spoke with Mayor Ron Smith before I came over here, and we really felt that it was a good idea to put that ban in for bars and restaurants. We were going to give it some time to roll that out, but according to Washoe County Health Department, they think it's essential to do right now, and quite frankly, so do we. So we will also update you on our website, and that's reno.gov/COVID-19. Again, reno.gov/COVID-19. I can't stress that enough because we are updating that every single day with closures and information. So again, that's reno.gov/COVID-19. I have Police Chief Jason Soto here with me today, so I'm going to ask him to come and give us some updates.
Thank you, Mayor Sheevy. Well, good afternoon, Reno Police Chief Jason Soto. I suppose I want to start this off by letting all of our community know that our thoughts are with all of you, and I know that a lot of us have a lot of difficult decisions in front of us in terms of businesses and things like that. I also want to thank our community for their incredible support of each other during this, what is a very trying time and a lot of unknowns that we have in front of us. In terms of updates from the Reno Police Department, our patrol division is at full strength. It will remain at full strength as we work through these COVID-19 challenges that we have as a community. A lot of the positions that are not essential to the Reno Police Department, we have either suspended or have those individuals working from home so that we can make sure we're doing our part in terms of not adding to this very challenging situation. I also wanted to talk a moment about and echo what Mayor Sheevy had talked about in terms of coming together as a community. And I've put out a lot of information on renopd.com, Facebook and Twitter, Instagram in terms of my message to the community, and that is to watch out for one another, talk about the social distancing, the washing of the hands, the sneezing and coughing away from people. But I also want to talk about our vulnerable populations, which is our seniors and our young adults, our infants, because they just don't have quite the immune systems that we do, and we really need to make sure we take care of them. So if you can go shopping for mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, or families that have young children, just to keep them out of those crowds, we would appreciate it. What we've also been doing is we've been reaching out to some of the grocery stores and department stores within our community, really asking them to help us out in terms of limiting how many supplies of certain items people can purchase so that we have enough of all supplies to go around for our entire community. So I'm asking for the community's help in terms of making sure that we don't hoard everything or buy these big box stores out of everything, so that there's enough for us to go around for our entire community. We do have shipments coming in regularly. I know we've been working with the mayor's been working with the business districts in terms of these shipments coming in on a daily basis. We had a big snow, which didn't help recently in terms of getting those trucks over the hill, but it seems to have subsided a little bit, so that's encouraging. Again, we certainly have all of you, our city of Reno, in our minds and in our hearts, and we're working as hard as we can to really curb this so that we can all get back to a sense of normalcy in the very near future. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our Reno Fire Chief, Dave Cochran.
Thank you, Mayor Sheevy, Chief Soto, Reno Fire Chief Dave Cochran. I want you to know that the Reno Fire Department is continuing to maintain staffing levels pre-event so that we have not reduced our staffing level at all. There's been no reduction in emergency responses as well. We've taken steps to protect the health and safety of our crews so that they in turn can continue to provide the highest level of public safety. Toward this end, we have limited non-essential public engagement, including ride-alongs and station visits. We're also respecting social distancing by conducting as many meetings as possible through conference calls or video conferences, for example. We are also taking extra precautions with personal protective equipment on calls and screening calls which indicate a risk of possible exposure to COVID-19. We have and will continue to provide the highest level of emergency service possible on all calls for service. And I want everyone to know as well, me and my staff, we support the comments of the mayor and Chief Soto in terms of respecting each other, not hoarding, recognizing that we have to get through this together. We are reevaluating our position and our processes on a literal daily basis to compete or to keep up with this dynamic situation. So again, thank you for being here. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Mayor Sheevy.
Thank you so much. I can't stress enough how we have to come together as a community. That is going to be essential right now. This virus is highly, highly contagious. Many of us are working sort of at the front lines of what's going on right now, and we know that. So unfortunately, you're going to see more and more cases come forward and these numbers jump. I cannot stress that enough, how incredibly contagious this virus is. So we all have to do this together. I am pleading with the entire community that we do this together, because I know we can. We all have to be rooting for Reno, and we have to root for one another right now. I wanted to just clarify, because I bet we will have a lot of questions regarding shutting down these businesses. And I would say tomorrow morning by 10 a.m., that will give you the afternoon to organize with your staff, make those appropriate phone calls. I would also clarify a lot of the restaurants offer to go, and we would still be open for to go and drive-up pickups and things like that when it comes to the restaurants. If that changes, please check with reno.gov/COVID-19. Again, we will continue to make those updates there. We are trying to be really cognizant of the media and of our staff, so we're not going to do a lot of press conferences, but we'll probably update there and let you know as that happens. The media has been tremendous in helping us get accurate information out there, and so timely. So I want to thank all of you on the phone today for really coming together and helping us do that. Otherwise, we could not inform our community to the capacity that we would need to without your help. So if there are any questions, please go right ahead.
All right, we are going to begin with KTVN.
Yeah, this is Jefferson Tyler. What are you doing to deal with the homeless situation on Record Street? Is there any procedures are there? I know you talked last presser about possible closed campus. Can you go into some details about that?
So we had a conference call this morning with VOA, and they have shut down parts of the campus. We still want people to be able to get services. We think that's really important. They're also going to very high standard of cleaning methods. They're working on certain quarantine areas. They have a pretty good plan in place. We're working with them to make sure that they have protective gear. We think that's going to be essential. And, you know, like the rest of the community, we're going to continue to make sure that they're safe. And we think that that is incredibly important. So it's certainly something that everyone is doing together in partnership with Washoe County Volunteers of America and the City of Reno. And we will continue to update that, because our process will continue to change as it needs to change.
Next is Channel 4.
Hi, guys. This is Kim Burrows. Mayor, could you clarify how the shutdown of businesses are going to work? Is this a recommendation? Is this mandatory? And could you give us a list again of what kind of businesses we're talking about?
Thank you. So that would be bars, restaurants, gyms, non-essential businesses. What's essential is our food, gas, doctor's offices, pharmacies, those types of businesses that are essential, right? So you'll still get your mail, you'll still be able to go and get gas in your car. We know we have a lot of caregivers out there that need, and we really want you to limit that interaction as well. But we also know that there are a lot of seniors out there and people that have health conditions that have health providers or caretakers. So we want to make sure that those people are being provided for. But we want you to obviously be careful about that kind of contact. We will send out a press release with guidelines of what that timeline looks like. We wanted this afternoon to be able to sort of prepare and plan for these other non-essential businesses to get time to contact their employees, get things in place, especially if you're a restaurant. I know many of them have said, hey, we have a lot of food that's sort of waiting in the wings, but many of them, I'm so grateful, have said we will donate that food to the shelter or to people that really need it. Right now, obviously, there's a lot of people that sort of have been panicking about food because of what we've seen at the grocery stores. And I'm grateful for a lot of the restaurants that said, hey, we will donate that food to whoever needs it. And so we are coordinating, and we will update that at reno.gov/COVID-19 of what that will look like. We just wanted to come out and message the businesses and let them know that this is the direction we're heading, so they have time to prepare and plan.
Solo 8. Solo, any question? All right, moving to the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Hi, Mayor. This is Colton Lockett from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I just want to clarify, is this going to be a mandatory shutdown of these non-essential businesses? And if so, can you, I know you mentioned a timeline, but can you give us an idea of what day this could go into effect?
Yes, so this will be mandatory, and it will be in effect tomorrow at 10 a.m.
The Nevada Independent.
Hi, Daniel Rothberg from the Nevada Independent. I was wondering if you could just walk me through how the city came to this decision and what guidance you've received from state health officials and the governor's office.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. First of all, I've been in contact with mayors all across the country and listening to their stories of what's happening in their communities. You could clearly tell that this is something that they're highly encouraging to get in front of this curve. We all know that there's this curve. I think we're in this very, very critical time. And as a mayor, you know, we have to make some very difficult decisions. This isn't easy, but we have lives at stake. People will die if we don't do this. I know there are some people that have rolled their eyes at me, but this is a time to come together. I cannot stress that enough. So speaking with mayors who have been through it, like Mayor Jenny in Seattle, Mayor de Blasio in New York, I'm lucky to have their guidance. Also, a lot of different health providers out there in the community talking about this virus. There's so much that we don't know about this virus, and that's another reason why we are trying to take every precautionary measure that we possibly can, because it's so incredibly unknown. First, there was this, it's happening to older folks and things like that, but we are seeing younger folks who are coming down with the virus. And remember, some will recover and they will be absolutely fine. Some might not even have any symptoms, but others that are immunosuppressed or that are older will have a much more difficult time fighting this off. I wouldn't be surprised if there becomes a point where it's, our friends, our family, our neighbors, we will all know someone with this highly contagious virus. And that's what everyone needs to prepare and plan for. And that's why we really felt strongly to do this now. I know it's not easy, but sometimes tough decisions are not. So you're seeing other cities do it. So it's not like we're alone. We're doing it across the country in other cities. I can also tell you, Washoe County Health Department, when I was coming on to this conference, it was going to be, we are requesting that you do that. As I got up to the podium, I received a text from Washoe County Health Department saying we need to make it mandatory. That was the direction that the city of Reno was going into. I know I spoke to Mayor Ron Smith about it. He was highly supportive. It just depends on what city you're sort of governing. I felt like we needed to be as aggressive as we possibly can with the information that I have, certainly working closely with the governor. It's very difficult to make some of those decisions, certainly to shut down schools and be really proactive. But I can't tell you this is the critical time for us. That I cannot stress enough. And again, lives are at stake. And you're going to see these numbers jump considerably if we don't do it now.
This is Reno.
Hi, this is Bob Conrad. The health district on Saturday said that it is not halting enforcement of property cleanups, which have displaced our houseless neighbors. Is the city going to continue doing those actions to clean up those properties, or are you requesting a delay on that?
Bob, can you repeat that? I couldn't.
The health district on Saturday said it is not stopping its enforcement of property cleanups. So are you going to continue doing these cleanups and having the homeless camps displaced?
So the county, I'm going to have Chief Soto address that. I think right now we want people to be as safe as possible. I think that's really critical. We certainly don't want anyone to be displaced. I have not heard that from the county, but I think because of all the information that's been going in or coming in, that right now COVID-19 has really taken over every issue that we've been dealing with in the city. Chief Soto, you would like to address that?
Yeah, Chief Soto, thanks for the question, Bob. So our community action outreach team has changed their approach in terms of how we are addressing our homeless camps. And oddly enough, some of these camps have the dynamics of them have changed since this outbreak's occurred. So everything's moving at a kind of strange pace. We're still out there because we need to be out there in terms of getting them resources, getting them supplies and things of that nature. But in terms of the more, some of the larger cleanups, we haven't done any of those since the last one we did that was by the railroad tracks on the west side. And we're kind of taking them on a location by location basis in the interest of caution. I know it doesn't quite answer your questions. We're still addressing it, but not as we were in the past.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Will this closure affect college campuses?
Will the what affect college campuses?
These the non-essential business closures, are they going to affect college campuses as well?
Yeah. Bob, yes, they will.
Okay, thank you.
Reno Gazette Journal.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. This is Ben Spillman of the Reno Gazette-Journal. I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about how the mandatory part of the business closures works. What's the enforcement? And also, I think you mentioned you've spoken with the governor. Have you guys talked about the tax ramifications of this, maintaining services and stuff without, as we go forward, and where money is going to come from?
That's a good question, Ben. To be honest with you, we don't know. I mean, matter of fact, I know here at the city of Reno, we are going to really probably do a hold the line budget. We will reassess everything. I actually said 2 weeks ago, I said, I think we should have a hold the line budget. I was looking at the stock market. It was beginning to plunge. Seeing sort of this information come out, I was becoming highly concerned and said, hey, I think we should have two budgets. I think cities will absolutely have to reevaluate how, financially where we're at and how that money is sort of coming in, because we all know C-tax is huge. This is incredibly difficult. I can't even begin to tell you how hard it is to make these kinds of decisions. Certainly, I mean, not just for government, but for small businesses. I mean, they're the largest job creators in the country. So this is very, very hard. So we want everyone to know that this is not something that you do easily or take lightly.
And have you consulted with like the big resorts and stuff downtown, or they're all included?
So we've been in contact with many of them, many business owners, many restaurant owners, casinos. Obviously, no one wants to do this. We don't want to do this, but for the good of the community and for saving lives, everyone that I have spoken with have said, we support you. We want to be good neighbors. We want to be good to the community. We live here. We love it here. I got to tell you, I've been so impressed with the amount of compassion and kindness. Everyone really is coming together, but it's not easy. This is really, really tough.
So casinos, resorts are included?
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Reno News and Review.
Thank you. This is Jerry Davis from the Reno News and Review. Between This Is Reno and the Gazette-Journal, I think we've got our answers.
Thank you very much. KUNR. Moving to Capital Public Radio.
Rebecca, can you clarify, has Washoe County put out anything on this? I know that Rick had showed me.
We'll cycle back to the beginning, Channel 2.
Just to clarify, can you talk about the trucking transportation suspending retail transportation and what that means?
Right, so they have hours of operation, and when they can deliver goods and things like that, that's just sort of normal and standard practice. And we have lifted that so that they can have much more accessibility to getting us necessities, like food, water, things of that nature. And so we have lifted those restrictions to make sure that we can get those timely. Of course, because of the weather, it has been a little challenging, but we have been in contact with the trucking and transportation industry, and that is what seems to be able to be the best way to expedite goods.
Channel 4.
Mayor, can you just clarify what the ban means for casinos? Are you just talking about the restaurants inside or the actual gambling as well? Mayor, did you hear me?
No, sorry, can you repeat that?
You got it. This is Kim Burrows. I'm trying to find out if the casino ban at 10 a.m. is about the gambling establishments or just the restaurants.
That's a good question. So one of the things, we were receiving information from Washoe County Health District as it was coming in. So we will find out exactly so we can have clarification, because as I was literally coming up to the podium, it was starting to change. So I know that they have had restrictions. Hold on, let me. So right now, it's just saying restaurants close, casinos close. I would encourage entire businesses, and that would be, the gaming as well as the restaurants and things like that, where you can have human contact so that we are not putting anyone in danger. But this is just new information coming in from Washoe County Health Department. But the city of Reno wanted to start requesting businesses to do that, to get them prepared and to plan. That would be the next step. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, that information was coming in from Washoe County as we were addressing you.
Polo A.
Well, Jefferson Tyler from 2 News. I didn't get a chance to ask my question.
Go ahead.
Mayor, what's being done to deal with the loss of income for the employees? Is there anything that you guys can do? Do they qualify for unemployment? Do these businesses
Yes.
have to pay
Thank
for
you.
them?
Yeah. So right now, we are encouraging everyone that is out of work to file for unemployment. That's going to be critical. We're also watching the federal government closely. Obviously, there were some proposals today. I don't know where those are at just yet. We're hoping and praying that we get some disaster relief funds to come in. I think everyone's sort of saying, what am I going to do? This is very, very real for people. Single moms, single dads, families and businesses, and this is sort of that domino effect. That's why we're asking people right now more than anything to have compassion for one another, because, quite frankly, I haven't met one person, not one person, that is not being affected by this financially in some shape or form. Not one. So I wish I could have better information for you, but we'll know what that looks like as soon as the federal government passes some sort of COVID-19 bill.
We'll go to Colo A.
How will this be enforced? Will the police department be helping with enforcement to make sure everyone is shut down by 10 a.m.?
So they obviously, this will be soft at first. We want people to have some time to, prepare and plan, but we really, really want people staying home. That's why we're doing this. We encourage you to stay at home to avoid human contact with others. But our police department will be working with business owners, bars, restaurants, gyms, things of that nature. They will certainly, be out there monitoring what's going on throughout the city. They're very accessible.
Could a business face a fine if they're not shut down by this deadline?
So Reno Police Chief Jason Soto, we're still working through some of the specifics in terms of notifying all these businesses. That's part of what this informational interview is about today, in terms of getting all of that information. I know that as the police chief, I have certain capacities when we've declared an emergency, which both the governor and the mayor have. I certainly have additional authority in terms of businesses and whether or not they're operating in a safe or unsafe manner. And we'll continue to monitor that, but we understand the economic impact and just the impact in general that it has on these businesses. So we're not, I certainly don't want to go in heavy-handed, and we understand that this is a very, very trying time, and it's very difficult, especially as business owners, all of the employees that are going to be affected. So we're really taking this on a day-by-day basis, and I would anticipate you'll see more and more information coming out as it hits, kind of like what you've seen in a lot of different locations within our world, unfortunately.
Review Journal.
Hi there. You mentioned the enforcement, but there's less than 24 hours between now and when this ban will go into effect. How is this going to be communicated to these businesses across the city in that time frame?
Well, that's why we're fortunate to have great local media. First of all, that's where we start. Then we keep messaging reno.gov/COVID-19. I've been in contact with many bars and restaurant owners. A lot of it will spread throughout social media. Certainly we're going to work with everyone so that they know, where we're heading and what that looks like. We know it's less than 24 hours, but everyone needs to do all they can right now. We are under some strict timelines when it comes to this virus. That's why we are taking the measures that we are. So I can't stress enough. We're doing this to save lives. I think everyone needs to understand that first and foremost, we're doing this to save lives. And if that's not enough, I don't know what is. I don't.
Nevada Independent.
It's still recording, but I'm just listening on my phone now.
I just wanted to clarify, does this apply, is this going to be required for all Washoe County, all the jurisdictions, or is it just the city of Reno?
Good question. Thank you. So right now it will be for the city of Reno. I don't have anything on Washoe County. Obviously, that's their jurisdiction. I have no control over Washoe County. I have no control over the city of Sparks. Obviously, speaking with our regional partners, like I said, I spoke with Mayor Ron Smith right before we had the press conference. He was incredibly supportive. So I would say that other cities, counties, jurisdictions should know that this is probably the next step. Certainly, this is how I plan to move forward with the city of Reno.
This is Reno.
Sorry, I was typing. Okay, I think you answered the question about Sparks. What about delivery for restaurants and pickups?
So yes, so any restaurant that can do delivery, we are not shutting that down right now. So delivery would be fine. There's a lot of curbside pickups, things like that. We want to be sensitive, obviously, because there are a lot of people that don't cook or have food at home. And this is hard. Let me tell you, this is a 24/7 state, right? We're 24 hours. So we're not used to this. I think for a lot of us across the state, this is really challenging because we can go anywhere at any time of day, night, and find just about anything you want here in Nevada. So for us to be restricted is even that much more challenging, I think, because we're not used to this.
Reno Gazette Journal.
Another question?
Hi, Mayor. Thank you. Just a couple things. One, a little bit more clarity on the gaming aspect. I didn't quite follow that. That's one. Two, was this from the mandatory part of this, from the health district or from the city? Three, you referenced a timeline. You said we're working on a very strict timeline when it comes to this virus. We are doing this to save lives. Can you tell me more about that timeline? And are you in any kind of ongoing regional meetings that are kind of recurring with leaders of the local governments? Yeah. And can you tell me what's going on with those? Thank you.
Sure. So we're on calls every morning. I've been on calls for the last 48 hours, obviously from healthcare workers to first responders to REMSA, to our hospitals. I mean, it's been nonstop. Every morning, though, we have a conference call with all of the jurisdictions, with Washoe County Health Department sort of keeping us abreast of the situation and what's happening. When I say timeline, I'm talking about we see what's happening in other states. We've seen what's happening in other countries. This is sort of the critical time that they're telling us this next 2 to 3 weeks is whenever we need to practice social distancing as much as possible, because they see these numbers double. They see these numbers coming in very rapidly. And as you know, every state out there right now is challenged with having very little kits, right, to test. And so with that being said, this is what is the most important thing to do at this time, is to limit that social contact, so because it is so contagious. So what you asked me another question too. What was that?
Was the authority kind of behind this mandatory closing of non-essential businesses? Was that from the health district, or was that from the city of Reno?
So we were going to be requesting, and I was going to let the community know that the next direction would be closures. We wanted to have some time to sort of ease into that. However, with Washoe County Health Department recommendation, we think that, this is the time to do it. We have to act now and act quickly. We really have taken a lot of cues from Washoe County Health Department, because they are the health department. They know the numbers coming in. They know the amounts of kits. They know the data. They know, what we're facing. So that's why we want to be really diligent in listening to their recommendations.
And I personally haven't seen that notice from the county. Do you guys have that? Can you forward it to everybody so we can see it, please?
Yes, so I asked for that. So I was just asking staff where that is. Where do they have it? Let me get back to you on that. I'll have Cynthia will check right now with Washoe County.
And was the gaming covered?
So they are recommending Washoe County Health Department. It says restaurants and casinos from Washoe County Health Department.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And just one last thing. As you've seen, some businesses like Vail and others have paid their employees while they're out. I know not all businesses can do that, but do you guys have any hope that businesses that can afford to do that will pay their employees while they are shut down?
So some are able to and some are not. Many of our small business owners are not. I received a phone call at about 10:30 last night from a business owner, a restaurant business owner, and she was absolutely in tears because she can't afford to. Many small businesses cannot. Maybe, some of the larger businesses that are, financially much more stable can afford to do that. It's unfortunate, but I think you're going to see a lot of businesses that can't afford to do that. And that's what makes this situation so incredibly difficult. It would just depend on the business, I guess is the
Have you spoken specifically with the resorts on that? The El Dorado closed some stuff in Indiana, Illinois.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. We'll continue updating at reno.gov/COVID-19. We'll have some more information as well on social media and some clarity on some of these developing issues as well. Thank you.
Thank you.